Light wind stops racing as INEOS Britannia faces their first defeat in the Louis Vuitton Cup semi-finals. INEOS Britannia fell victim to the light conditions and came off their foils. INEOS Britannia will face a longer battle against Alinghi Red Bull Racing for a spot in the Louis Vuitton Cup final after losing a race to the Swiss before racing was abandoned due to light wind. It was the first defeat in the semis for Ben Ainsley's British crew, who had won all of its races against Alinghi on Saturday and Sunday. INEOS Britannia's result was also echoed by the other semi-final pairing, with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli facing their first defeat against New York Yacht Club American Magic. Both pairings were due for a second race on Monday, but after the wind failed to meet the lower limit required, the rest of the schedule was abandoned. INEOS Britannia will next face Alinghi Red Bull Racing on Wednesday. INEOS Britannia team principal and skipper Ben Ainsley said, "It's always tough in these light conditions. It's frustrating, but we made a couple of mistakes in some maneuvers, so we will go back and look at how we can do better in those situations. As we keep saying, until you get those 5 wins, it's never over. We know we can sail the boat better and set it up better, so that's positive, but you can never get ahead of yourself in sport, especially in the America's Cup." The British crew's second race with the Swiss was delayed several times due to light conditions before it was eventually called off. In marginal conditions, the race between the Brits and Swiss got going after 3 attempts at a start. The light air was combining with a swell left over from the previous day's breeze, and it was reaching up to grab the boats, trying to suck them down into the water every time they slowed to tack or jibe. INEOS Britannia touched down momentarily in their pre-start routine and entered the box a few seconds late. Alinghi Red Bull Racing couldn't take advantage though, turning back to start their run to the line a little too early. Ben Ainsley and his crew timed their start at the left-hand end perfectly, with the Swiss too close to the start line. They got a penalty for their early start and INEOS Britannia was into the lead. The conditions remained fragile though, and covering the moves of the opponent was not an option. No one could afford an extra tack. The British crew was content to pick their own way up the first leg and went through gate 1 with a 17-second lead. INEOS Britannia extended that lead to 1 minute 10 seconds by the second leg, with the Swiss following round the right-hand mark of gate 2. By then, the British crew were tacking at the boundary in some very soft breeze and came off the foils. Alinghi slipped past, and by the time Britannia was back up and flying, Alinghi was 500 m in the lead. The breeze stayed a little more solid for a painfully short period, during which time Ainsley and company started to reel in the Swiss, but as it softened again, a second touchdown on attack ended their race. The Swiss got through gate 3 and most of the way down the fourth leg before they too dropped off the foils and went into displacement mode. After that, Alinghi was racing against the 45-minute time limit to complete a race, with neither boat able to get foiling. The Swiss boat eventually crossed the line with 3 minutes 38 seconds to spare and put their first point on the board.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, America's Cup fans. Welcome to the Inside Tack, our debrief show here at INEOS Britannia. Now, to prove that we're super live and doing this without much editing and all that kind of stuff, we've seen a lot of references in the comments about the dogs barking. And I tell you tonight, there is an absolute dog party out there, isn't there, Giles?
There is, yeah.
An absolute...
At least...
How many?
15.
15 dogs. Yeah. And interestingly, for a rules guy in, there's a sign that says no dogs.
There is a sign. I'm not sure what the sanctions are.
Oh, look, the camera's going to pick them up.
Oh, look, the camera's gone up. That's good. Well done, Louis. Absolute dog party and a sign that says no dogs. Interesting. Anyway, let's not talk about dogs. We had a lot of questions yesterday, and my spider sensors tingled because people were going, oh, INEOS Britannia, Luna Rossa, all the chat there, and we said, hey, this is the America's Cup. Things change very quickly, and we had a very America's Cup-y day, and the 2 teams that were on match point in went and got race wins today. Match point down, should I say?
Yes, the other teams won today, which was a shame for us, but it just shows you can't take anything for granted. You've got to treat every race day as it's your first or your last, and go out and win the race. And unfortunately, we didn't manage to do that today. And
we'll talk about our race against Alinghi, which we lost. Congratulations to them. But in the race against the Italians and the USA, again, was just a cracker, wasn't it, all the way through?
It was another barnstormer. Lots of close crosses, penalties. A big turnaround at the bottom gate for American Magic, and obviously they'll be super happy to have got their first win on the board.
And there were penalties flying around in that leeward gate.
not
specifically. No penalties there. Okay.
No, that was all clear, that one.
Right.
But there was a penalty halfway up the beat for a close cross.
Right.
But Tom Slingsby did a pretty nice job of just catching Jimmy Spittle. Or probably Francesco.
There was 2 penalties.
Was there?
There was a penalty for the dip and then a penalty for the cross. Or am I wrong?
I think it was the same thing. I think one went for the cross and the other dipped, right?
Feels like we're going to be watching that one back.
We'll debate this later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think there was one penalty, but I also could very well be wrong. Either way, great win for America.
2 penalties I've just heard from Louis.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Look how smug he is.
That's good, isn't it?
Oh,
That's
Joe,
gold.
you're one of the smuggest people I know when you're right with stuff like that. So annoying.
Oh, that couldn't be any better, could it?
Right, serious face. We lost the race against Alinghi. Frustrating. It was light airs. We spoke last night. It was forecast to be super light airs.
It was.
Giles, before we entered, we had the wind limit reset a couple of times. It finally bumped over the wind limit to start the race. Can you explain to us what that wind limit is?
Yeah, the wind limit is 6.5 knots, but it is a 20-second average. It's rolling average. And if it dips below 6.5 knots for 20 seconds, within 9 to 4 minutes, the clock resets to 9.
On 2 marks.
On 2 marks.
One at the top, one at the bottom.
There you go.
Nice.
It has to be 2 of them. So one from the top and one of the marks from the bottom.
Right.
Have to dip below the 6.5 limit in that 5-minute period.
We got the 2 right people for this today. That's good.
Yeah.
And we kind of we did. Oh, here we go. This is how we measure the wind. You can see. I think this is. This is. I think just before our start, and this is the information that you're looking at, Giles, and the information that, more importantly, not that you're not important, Ian Murray, the regatta director, is looking at, right?
Yeah, and we've got access to exactly what he's looking at, so we can track when that clock's going to reset. And today was a bit of a frustrating day. With sometimes you'd think you'd be good and you'd get 6 minutes of everything sitting quite nicely above that 6.5 mark, and then just get one little blip below and the clock resets. So yeah, it's frustrating. And I think
it's sailing.
It is sailing.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I quite like about it? When the 3 of us grew up sailing, it was of the opinion of the race officials.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the race officials were right or wrong, but it wasn't very scientific. And now it's factual.
Yeah, it is factual. The wing gear the race officials are using is really good. Those marks are amazing. The slight little tricky bit in it is that they do a tidal offset, and they use a model for that tidal offset.
Or can we be geeky and talk about how the tidal offset would affect the wind limits?
Yeah, so if the tide is with the wind, the wind that you'll see will be less than what the marks would see that are holding station.
Okay.
So, but they don't use the actual current, they use what the modelled current is. So on days where the current doesn't match up with the model, there's scope for a bit of discrepancy either way on that wind speed limit.
Gotcha.
But we're getting into the nuances of wind speed limits there. It's
good that you just read the whole rule thing around that just before you came up, eh? I'm joking, he's known it forever. He's known it forever. So we did get a race away. We did go above the wind limit, and we went into the start. We were starboard entry. As always, the kind of pre-start manoeuvres in this light stuff for us cyclors and the trimmers and everyone is about staying on the foil. We had a bit of a sticky tack before the entry, a smidge late in, but entered at 1 minute 52.
Yeah, and we chose to tack around initially, which from start, we don't see it here, but starboard onto port, we tacked after the entry, really to try and keep things safe, and then obviously jibed into this situation to lead them back to the line, which is it's a strong place to be in the light winds, leading back. Very traditionally in match racing, that's well known to be strong, and so I think it was a great start.
And we're both above the start line here with sort of 20-30 seconds to go, dip back down and then wind up on the gun. And Giles, Slightly early trigger pull, very marginally early for a Red Bull, Alinghi Red Bull Racing there, so they got a penalty.
Yeah, they did. They weren't over by a lot, but you can just see their path into the line there was a little bit shallower than ours. I think they probably felt a little bit squeezed by having us quite tight to leeward, and they just pulled the trigger a little early. And you could see the timing was pretty critical for us as well, and that pin end coming up pretty quick, and had, I don't know, half a second to kill before we'd have been over ourselves. So nice job. And
then we rolled into a upwind that I remember looking down at my display, and we kind of had 7s to 8s, so light air tacking. Maybe kind of it didn't open up the full match racing covering game because you wanted to limit manoeuvres, because the manoeuvres are high risk, but we led round the windward mark. It was reasonably close after the split and the jibes on boundaries. We came back first cross downwind, close-ish.
Yeah, it was close.
We jibed in front to cover, right?
A comfortable lead, but by no means, the race was definitely not shut down.
Yeah.
Towards the bottom gate, we pulled away, we tried to set up for the left turn at the bottom, didn't quite make ley line with the breeze dropping right down, and jibed back for the right turn. And at that point, we had quite a nice lead at the gates. I think it was over a minute actually. But then it went super, super light on that starboard leg out towards the boundary.
So we went around the leeward gate and started heading out towards the boundary, as you say, and the breeze started dropping, and we have numbers that we talk about for minimum boat speeds for manoeuvres and this kind of stuff, and we were flirting in and around there without giving too much away, but didn't stick the first tack of the second upwind.
That's right. Just as I said, it just got real light, and seeing boat speeds like low 20s at times, and trying to tack down speed in these yachts is really quite tricky. And you can see here
the breeze coming down for Alinghi, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Alinghi keeping it at about 27s.
Yeah,
they get over to the boundary just as that little puff comes in, and do a nice job. Execute a nice light wind foiling tack, and put a bit of distance on us there.
I mean, that for them is all credit to them. That's a tack to keep your dream alive in the America's Cup, and they did a really nice job from here in. We were struggling from this point in a hole to try and build back up onto the foil, while they had a nice upwind linking the dots and staying on the foil.
Yeah, and it's one of those frustrating things, isn't it? By the time you've managed to pop onto the foils, you then got a boundary coming up, and you've got to do another tack, in short order.
Yeah.
And that's really the tough thing. Is it wasn't just that one that cost us, it was then the next one where we popped back up, we were still in the race, and then we fall off the foil again, and after that we're really just hoping that the time limit runs out.
Well, the conversation for us at that point was they were almost a leg ahead. Well, they finished more than a leg ahead, but the conversation between Dylan and Ben was, shall we just try and push and get on the foil, because that's our only way of catching up with them in under 6 knots of breeze? That's pretty optimistic. Or do we... Alinghi effectively were on a displacement race against the clock, and the time limit is 45 minutes?
45 minutes, yeah.
And they finished at 41.
Yeah.
They did a nice job of harnessing their 2003 or 2007 displacement monohull legends that won the America's Cup. I think.
About 2/3 of the way up that last beat, they were not on track to make it.
Oh, really?
And they just got a little bit of pressure, a big shift as well,
right,
just coming into the top third of the beat that got them there. I was sort of tracking it.
Yeah.
I don't think they were going to make it at the rate they were going.
Yeah.
As I say, they just got that pressure at the end that got them there. But that's
sailing.
That's sailing,
and
isn't
all
it?
credit to them. A point is a point, and
absolutely.
Yeah. When you're on match point down to go and get a win, impressive, and much the same for the USA. So the plans, Giles, moving forwards, we know that we are now racing on Wednesday. 2 races on Wednesday.
Yep, 2 races planned for Wednesday.
Races 6 and 7? No, I can't do my maths right now. Yeah, that's right. Something like that.
Yeah.
What is it?
4-1.
4-1, yeah. So 6.
Yeah, 4-1, and big day. Like the forecast is a step change, a serious.
Give us a little insight, because we've just been in the same planning meeting.
We have, yeah. It's forecast big waves, up to potentially up towards the 2 metre mark, which we've not seen yet. Be interesting, and potentially 15 knots. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting one.
But tomorrow, what is coming up is the start of the Youth America's Cup. Now, we didn't have a Youth America's Cup in Auckland because of COVID. We are Great Britain, are current holders of the Youth America's Cup with young Neil Hunter.
Yeah.
So the Youth America's Cup starts tomorrow. Our APP friends up the road, led by Hannah Mills, their youth team, so under 25s kick off. And obviously everyone here up the road at INEOS Britannia wishes them all the best. And we all got into America's Cup sailing through very diverse pathways, but I think we can all agree that to have a youth league, a youth competition in similar boats where you don't have to have a chunk of money to get into it and scoop up the best young sailors from around the world is really good.
Yeah, I mean, the AC40 is an amazing little boat. I mean, we'd call it a little boat now just because of what we've been up to, but yeah, it's they're going to have a lot of fun. Yeah, so we have to wish Nick Robbins, James Gromer, Alex Hughes and Matt Beck all the best as they head into the Youth AC, defending the title for Great Britain. No pressure, lads. I'm sure Neil Hunter will send them motivational text messages tonight. So, yeah, looking forward to Wednesday. It's going to be, as you say, a sporty day. Yeah.
And yeah, we hope that you guys will join us for maybe a debrief on racing on Wednesday. If not, we will join us on Thursday for a debrief for the conclusion of the semi-final of this America's Cup.
Welcome to the Dock Walk, brought to you by Ainsley & Ainsley, powering this INEOS Britannia America's Cup team. Hendo is alongside me. We've just emerged from the boat shed for a very good reason because, well, you probably haven't seen daylight in a while, have you?
No, it's a 24-a-day operation in there. We've got a lot of little projects going on that we're looking forward to unveiling, hopefully, in the next round.
Well, that sounds a little bit exciting. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We've still got a race win to get on the board today. But what does the next week look like for a shore team that is backing this particular sailing crew?
Well, hopefully a few hours of time off, and then we're into sort of fitting all the projects we've been working on in the shed onto the boat. And there's a whole lot of maintenance going on as well. So we have, the boat basically comes partially apart and then gets serviced and then put back together. So there's hours and hours and hours of work between now and the next round, should we get there.
Okay, well, fingers crossed we do, and I'll let you get on with it because I know you've got a very busy week in store, my friend. Let's just try and grab these two boys. Lee, Bled, can I borrow you for a second? I hope I haven't interrupted a very important briefing where you've determined how you're going to win this first race. How excited are we looking ahead? We've got 4 in the bag. We know what the job is.
Yeah, obviously every day is super exciting. It's a really interesting battle, and we're learning heaps every time we get out there, and trying to progress as much as we can, to get ready for the next round, hopefully. So we've got a big job to do today. Keep performing the way that have been. Sail cleanly, sail well, and hopefully get the win we need.
What I'm loving is the communication between the afterguard, the 4 of you on the boat together. I know the cyclors are doing their own job too, but you guys feel like you're really galvanizing and communicating well as a unit. Does it feel like it's improving race by race, Bled?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more races we get out there, the more time we have to refine our communication between us. And I guess it's normally a good sign if it's relatively quiet. Calm boat's normally quick, so we'll aim for that today.
Which one of you wants to interrupt my husband and bring him over here? Shall I just do it? I always get stitched up with the world's worst job. Let's see. He's talking to a pretty important person in Nick Holroyd here, who's very much leading this design challenge. So I'm not too keen about interrupting this conversation because it may well be the difference. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can catch Harry Leask's eyes. And he's just having a good old chat with Parker. So he's doing his really best to ignore me. Ben!
I hope so, Ben. I'm having a very important chat here.
What is it about? Do you want to share some of it or not?
Not really, no. I'm not going there.
Okay, no, apparently definitely not. See, I mean, that's the thing with the Cup. There's a lot of espionage still taking place, right?
Plenty going on, yeah. Trying to get these boats going faster.
What are we thinking about the conditions today? How confident are you of getting the start underway when it's supposed to get underway? And how confident are you also of making this 5-0?
Well, Yeah, not that confident on any of it, to be honest, because yesterday we thought it was going to be light winds and actually we had some of the strongest breezes we've raced in. So it's a really, goes to show what a difficult venue it is to forecast for. We do think it will be lighter today and we might have some delays before we start racing, but yeah, we just keep going, take one race at a time. Again, we know Alinghi can be strong in these light airs, so we can't afford to take anything for granted. We just keep pushing hard to get that win and get it squared away.
Chatting to Hendo, your shore team main man, earlier on, and he's talking about the fact that they've got a busy week in store. He's talking up some really exciting stuff that's coming our way. How important is it to get in that shed as early as you can?
Yeah, of course. In the development game, the more time you can get in the shed, the better prepared we can get the boat and make some changes. Yeah, again, we can't get ahead of ourselves, so we just one race at a time. But certainly, it was well noted that Hendo and the boys are putting the pressure on us to get the job done.
I am so looking forward to one day being able to get ahead of myself, but not yet, people. So the live action, you can catch it on TNT Sports and, of course, on YouTube. And there will, of course, be an analysis show after all the race action today. 2 races forecast against the Swiss. We hope we can get it done in one. Right here, right now is the anthem. That's exactly where we're heading, out into the ocean.